In a shocking revelation, former WBC heavyweight champ Deontay Wilder admitted he fought his last two battles with a broken arm, sparking intense reactions across the boxing world. Wilder, known as the Bronze Bomber for his legendary knockout power, claimed his injury plagued him through losses to Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang, yet he fought on, fueled by his high pain tolerance. But fans and critics are torn. Some see his story as a testament to his grit, while others feel he's using the injury as an excuse to explain his fading career. As Wilder considers future fights, including a possible showdown with MMA star Francis Ngannou, the big question is, can he reclaim his former glory, or is his time at the top over? Former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay "the Bronze Bomber" Wilder recently opened up in an interview, revealing that he fought with a broken arm in his last two matches, both of which he lost to Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang. Wilder, who is now 39 years old with a record of 43-4-1 and 42 KOs, said his high tolerance for pain enabled him to compete despite the serious injury. However, the results of those fights were disappointing for him, leading to two back-to-back defeats. Wilder didn't mention whether his injured arm also caused him issues in his two earlier knockout losses to Tyson Fury in 2020 and 2021, but those fights were also tough losses. He struggled greatly against Fury, an opponent who some thought was beatable, and failed to keep up with Fury's style, which involved a lot of leaning and throwing heavy punches. This revelation has left fans questioning whether his arm injuries could have affected his overall performance and career trajectory. In his matches with Fury, Wilder seemed to be a shadow of his former self. Fury's style of constantly leaning on him and delivering strong, heavy punches was effective, even though some critics didn't find Fury's approach particularly impressive. However, Wilder's own lackluster performance in those bouts made Fury appear to be at a top level. Wilder's decline over his last several fights, losing 4 of his last 5 bouts, has put his career in a difficult position. His recent 5th-round knockout loss to Zhang in June only highlighted this decline further, leading many to question whether Wilder will be invited back for future high-profile events like the Riyadh season. During his fights with both Zhang and Parker, Wilder appeared hesitant and overly cautious, a stark contrast to his earlier aggressive style. While he attributes this change to his arm injury, some fans argue that the injury alone doesn't fully explain his recent struggles and losses, especially against Fury. If Wilder wants to get his career back on track and work his way toward major fights, he may need to take a different approach by facing lower-ranked opponents first to build up his confidence and record before challenging top contenders again. Some experts and fans believe Wilder would also benefit from switching trainers. Since hiring Malik Scott as his trainer in 2021, Wilder's record with Scott has been just 1-3, which has led to doubts about whether Scott is the right fit for him at this stage. For many, Scott's guidance hasn't been effective, and they believe it might be time for Wilder to find a new coach to revitalize his career. However, it remains uncertain if Wilder will take this advice and make changes, as he seems committed to continuing with Scott despite the poor results. It's ultimately Wilder's decision, but many think staying with Scott could keep him on a downward trajectory. Talking more about his injury, Wilder shared with TMZ Sports, "I broke my arm way back in November. I didn't know. I had 2 tears in my shoulder. I could feel the pain, but I thought it was just old injuries. When I got an MR, everything was messed up, but I didn't realize it because I've got a high tolerance for pain." This revelation about fighting injured has led to mixed reactions from fans. Some feel that Wilder is using it as an excuse to avoid facing the reality of his declining career. Since his losses to Fury, Wilder has looked less aggressive and more hesitant in the ring, and some fans feel he would have been better off keeping silent about his injury. By mentioning it, they argue Wilder may appear desperate to explain away his recent struggles instead of focusing on improving. For many fans, it's disappointing to hear these explanations rather than see Wilder return to the ring with a new, motivated approach. His performances in his 3 fights with Fury were already a concern for fans, and the injury explanation doesn't change how they view those matches. Looking ahead, fans hope Wilder will focus on proving himself in the ring rather than trying to justify his recent defeats. With career earnings reportedly around $46.5 million, according to Forbes, Wilder doesn't necessarily need to protect or explain away his losses. Instead, they hope he will use his remaining time in the sport to show his resilience and skill. Wilder also hinted at the possibility of a match with MMA fighter Francis Ngannou, saying, "That's a conversation I'm interested in having." However, it's unclear which promoter would support a fight between Wilder and the 38-year-old Ngannou, as there's no guarantee that Turki Al-Sheikh, the organizer behind the Riyadh season events, would be interested in hosting this particular matchup. In his prime, Wilder's incredible punching power would have been a significant challenge for Ngannou, but with his recent struggles and cautious approach, many believe Wilder might be at risk against Ngannou, who is known for his own punching ability. Fans are divided on whether this match would be beneficial or if Wilder should focus on other fights. Some boxing analysts argue that Wilder's best days may be behind him, especially after his recent losses and injury disclosures. His reputation as one of the sport's most feared punchers now seems somewhat overshadowed by his repeated losses, most notably to Tyson Fury. The losses to Fury revealed weaknesses in Wilder's boxing fundamentals, as he relied heavily on his powerful right hand but struggled when facing an opponent with a more technical approach. This reliance on knockout power rather than defensive skill or ring IQ has left Wilder vulnerable when faced with fighters who can take his punches or avoid them entirely. Fans and experts alike believe that if Wilder is serious about making a comeback, he'll need to go beyond just physical recovery from his injuries. He must adapt his fighting style, focusing on defense and stamina rather than just sheer power. There's also a growing sentiment that Wilder needs to adopt a more humble and strategic approach moving forward. Some believe that instead of immediately pursuing high-stakes matches against top contenders or potential crossover bouts like one with Ngannou, Wilder should focus on building a solid win streak with lower-level fighters. This approach would allow him to regain his confidence, fine-tune his skills, and prove that he's still a formidable force in the heavyweight division. By working his way back up the ranks, Wilder can address any lingering doubts among fans and silence critics who are beginning to question his ability to compete at the top level. Building back up gradually could allow Wilder to return to marquee fights with a renewed sense of purpose and a stronger skill set, ultimately improving his chances of ending his career on a high note. Meanwhile, the boxing community is buzzing with debate over whether Wilder's choice to discuss his injuries was a wise move. While it may offer some explanation for his recent performances, it also opens the door for speculation and doubt. Fans are divided, with some sympathizing with Wilder's situation and others feeling it's an excuse that detracts from his legacy. Moving forward, Wilder's actions in the ring will carry more weight than his words, as fans expect him to prove himself without relying on past injuries as a narrative. A successful comeback would require Wilder to not only overcome his physical setbacks, but also shift his mindset and approach, giving him the opportunity to leave a lasting legacy that goes beyond his current challenges.